Well, all this is coming as the Biden administration is reportedly covering up the full extent of the border crisis by limiting what Border Patrol can share with the media. Listen here.
Is the White House or DHS instructing border agents to refuse ride-along requests from reporters? Because that's what a lot of our folks on the ground are hearing.
It's coordinated through the Department of Homeland Security, and I'd point you to them for any additional questions about the logistics of press access.
But our reporters used to be able to get ride-alongs during the Trump administration, and you all came in and promised to be the most truthful and transparent administration, and you all, oversee the Department of Homeland Security. So if you all wanted to grant access to the press, couldn't you just tell DHS to do it?
Again, we fully support transparency, and I would encourage you to talk to the Department of Homeland Security about any requests you have for press access or what you're looking to accomplish at the border.
Right, it's them, not us. Let's get to former acting Deputy Secretary of Homeland Security, a man who would know about this. He's already shaking his head, Ken Cuccinelli. So, Ken, if the President of the United States, if you were back at Homeland Security and the President of the United States called and said, can you get some members of the press to accompany Border Patrol on some of these missions, could you possibly say no?
No, not really, unless there was some operational reason to do so. But, I mean, this is consistent with other things. Jen Psaki is, I mean, I hate to say it about her, but she's just lying from the podium in the White House.
Well, specifically tell us why, because that's quite a charge.
Sure. Well, but, I mean, you just said it yourself. The Department of Homeland Security implements the president's policy, and she's in charge of communications for the executive branch. So it is absolutely. Can you imagine if we for 2 months, didn't let the press into our facilities? Can you imagine what that press room would have been like every day? It would have been a madhouse. A madhouse. And yet they're supine, little docile, Biden supporting, press officials who just sit back and do nothing. But even they're getting a little bit fed up with it. But what Jen just said is an absolute falsehood. She absolutely can grant that access. They've decided that they don't want to, and so they create this bureaucratic runaround. And it's, that's not a new tactic. But it just looks a little embarrassing coming from the podium at the White House.
Well, and again, even the media that is favorable to this particular administration, that would comprise, I would say, about 95% of the media. Even they are beginning to ask some serious questions about, how serious the crisis is. And very few people fail to call it a crisis, even in the mainstream media. I'm just wondering, why do you think Democrats are willing to absorb the political pushback of this crisis down at the border? What is in it for them?
Sure. So there's two things in it for them. One, this is appeasement to their radical left base, and they came in with this in mind. We told them in the transition that if they opened the border like this and they gave these sorts of messages, that they'd be swamped. So this is not only predictable, it was predicted. We told them it would happen. And they knew it. They had a system in place that we had built. They systematically, in a matter of weeks, destroyed it. So, we were just talking about Jen Psaki. She says, we inherited a broken system. That is exactly the opposite. They inherited a system with lots of pieces in place to deal with illegal immigration, and they ripped every single one of them out. They destroyed them. It's easy to destroy. It is hard to build. It took years to put all that in place. It was effective, and they've destroyed it in a matter of weeks, and the consequence is a flooded border. That's point one. Point two, they want all of these people coming over the border so that they can give them amnesty in these amnesty bills. It'll be sad to see any Republicans cooperating in that, but I think your reporter, Chad's probably right. There'll be some of those. They also, in the voting bill, the Corrupt Politicians Act, H.R. 1, they're going to register them all to vote as they go get services in states by mandating that every state agency of every state has to register these people to vote. Even if it's illegal for them to vote, once you've registered them, it's awfully hard to keep that fraud from happening.
I think just to be clear about what you're saying,
on their
part of H.R. 1 says that you immediately can register to vote, if you are getting a driver's license, for example. And driver's licenses in many states are given to immigrants without papers,
right.
Illegal immigrants. So in fact, there is an opportunity there. But on the other hand, states have not legalized voting. Most states, anyway, have not legalized voting for unregistered immigrants.
Well, David, H.R. 1 passes. Fundamentally, what H.R. 1 does is wipe out your state's election law. It replaces it with what's in H.R. 1. And you're right about DMVs, but it's virtually every state agency, and it's an automatic registration. For those folks not to be registered to vote, they have to pull themselves out. And that is not what the Democrats expect to happen. They expect lots of these people to be swept onto the voter rolls, and at that point, it's very hard to stop the voter fraud. They're building a system in H.R. 1 that builds in voter fraud, and this swarming at the border is part of that plan.
You know, Ken, finally, I just got to say, we've run out of time, but you used to also be acting director of Citizenship and Immigration Services. And
yes,
one of the proudest moments in my life was watching my wife become a U.S. citizen. She had to jump through a lot of hoops in order to do that. She was an immigrant from Central America.
Played by the rules.
But it was so worthwhile at the end of the day. It would be a shame for this country to bypass all of those rules that make people more proud of becoming a citizen and make people realize how important it is in their lives and their families' lives. We got to leave it at that, but very interesting discussion, Ken.
It is a moving day for all those folks.
It
Great
sure
to be
is.
with you.
It's one of the best days of my life and my wife's life as well.
Yep.
Thank you very much.